because because they were traveling always, working and all that. So it is the men who were the primary caregivers.
Yeah.
And upon divorce, they stayed home.
Yeah.
But
somehow I can't say the law is that, because I have another friend. He had his girlfriend, just a girlfriend. They were girlfriends for nearly a year or two, and they stayed together. The house is his house. He mortgaged it and everything. Now, when they had issues, and she called the police, and obviously the police came and told the guy, said, listen, can you find where you to stay for the next maybe a month or two? And the man was saying, but this is my house. This is my house. Where can she go and find somewhere to stay?
She's already crying. She called police because of domestic violence.
Yeah, but listen.
So you want to send the victim to the streets?
Why can't they find a center for women or something like that?
Exactly. Yeah. That's what I wanted to tell you.
Because this is this man's house. But the police were telling him to spend a month away on his own pay. He's paying for the hotel where he stay and give her time to find where to go in a month's time.
It's a process. It's a process. It's a process. But you said interesting
that's what I'm only dying to do this, by the way. Everybody, I'm not against women, and please don't come with gun raising that
you are against women.
I'm against women. No, I'm not. I'm just trying to, as a journalist, I'm looking at how the law should actually be fair. In this gentleman, they should have said, okay, maybe if you have some money, let her go and stay in a hotel. In other words, to find where to stay. But they forced him to go in a hotel. He even tried to go to court, and the magistrate said no.
He was the perpetrator.
No. You stay in a hotel, but this is my house. My house. You know how serious things become. Yeah. But this is my house. Why can't she stay in a hotel?
In the end, he
and
got
find
it, isn't he?
Well, he went back to his house, but it's because he fought to get his. They were even suggesting 6 months in a hotel, and he said, "Why would I be paying in a hotel when I have my house?" But what I'm trying to see here is this. Sometimes, like what I said here. The law gives the women more powers than the men, in a sense that there is the tendency to overlook things that, some of our sisters sometimes are not fair on us. And remember, I tell women this, that some of these are your sons as well, who are being mistreated by other women. So somewhere along the way, the fairness has to come in. Because your brother could fail in that situation. Your sister, your cousin, anybody related to you. You may have women feminists running up and down saying this, but they keep forgetting their fathers, their brothers, and who could fall victim to this as well. That is why we want sometimes the fairness to come in.
I don't think the law is unfair, and I don't think the law protects the women more. You need to look at why, and I think the law looks at each case on its own. Because, say, for example, when you say that this man had beaten or whatever happened, why did she call the police? Because already she's a victim, and God knows whatever is going on.
No, he didn't beat her. It's just
I don't know. I don't know the facts.
They were having issues, and obviously,
the issues. What you call issues could be something that was, for example, by the time a woman calls the police.
If he had beaten her, he would have gone in jail. But he didn't. It's just verbally, this is my house or something, or get out or something. Verbal. I don't think it was any. Because if she had scars and injuries, the man could have gone in for a couple of months.
No, I will not comment on what happened, because I can tell you that actually most people commit suicide not because they have been beaten, but because of emotional abuse. Because emotional abuse is more dangerous to women than actually physical violence. So you could say they were just telling her, go, and whatever. That is another discussion. You can invite me and I tell you about, mental health with women. Because, for example, if that woman, I'm giving you an example. If that woman sold whatever she had to move in with this man, and now after 1 year, this man is saying, oh, this is my house, you go away.
They must have had some issues, obviously.
Exactly.
For him, I mean, people fell out of love. She might have fallen out of love with him as well. But But
they are falling out of love, and now you're becoming verbally violent. You see, and then if
that house had belonged to her, trust me, that guy would have been out of that house within 24 hours. The police wouldn't even tell him that. Listen, they just tell you this is what happened, because I'm being realistic because I've seen it before, and I've seen it many times with the Africans. You see, then the moment she calls the police and it's her house, or it's a council house, trust me, you are out of the house within the next 6 hours. or even less than that. They will even stand out there and make sure that you actually packed your stuff and gone. And they even tell you that don't go within a distance of maybe 600 feet or something.
But Stephen, women are vulnerable.
I understand
you know, when we
that.
talk about vulnerable people, we talk about women and children.
Yeah, of course.
Now,
yeah.
imagine a woman has called the police and you want the police to send out the woman instead because, you know, it was just a quarrel. It was just... You are minimizing. When you call it just, you are minimizing. And for me as a lawyer, and a social worker, I'm trained to listen to the whole story.
Okay.
And I am not going to fall for the few facts you have given me to judge this system. No. I believe the system is fair, and women are vulnerable, they need protection, and men need to know the law. The law says if you attack a woman, you are going to be sent out of the home.
Even when you simply say something about it, because sometimes it could be not really a quarrel as such. It could be
a disagreement.
A disagreement over something.
A disagreement.
And somebody turns it into something else.
A disagreement, and you call me a dirty name. For example, you look like your mother who was like this. Oh, go and eat your mother something. Now, you see, these things look like simply, but that is a big deal because my mother is dead and you're telling me to go and eat something of theirs.
Don't go in that direction.
I'm like, do you want to kill me? You see, it depends. You see, pain is what the person feels. Pain is what the victim feels, not what the perpetrator thinks. So if the woman says, oh my God, I even want to commit suicide, I want to kill myself, I'm going to believe her. And I'm not going to believe how you trivialize, the whole situation.
Yeah. How about, okay, we look at it this way. As Africans in the diaspora, we've got a lot of African organizations.
Yes.
There are so many Ugandan organizations. There are so many Nigerians, Ghanaians organizations in the diaspora.
Yes.
And this is one of the issues that why isn't this issue of children, this issue of maybe even disputes, because back home we sit down with our in-laws if we have had an issue and we sort this thing out on a one-to-one basis. The parents will listen, or the uncles, and I've sat into this back home so many times. But why is it that when we come to the diaspora here, and you may find that there are relatives that are here, this thing can't be addressed from within? For example, if you've had a problem with your husband and you have a couple of cousins and so on, can this issue be, can't we learn how to address these issues and solve them the way like we solve them back home? Yeah.
Again, once again, we are in a new system.
Okay.
First of all, most of us, when we come here, the real nuclear family is what happens to us. You see that. So it is your children. And we don't have very many relatives in this country. Back home, you feel safe because, that is my aunt, that is my uncle.
Even with those with the relatives here, it's the same thing, even with those with relatives. Because what I have in mind is that we open up organizations like UK Uganda Lawyers. We open up the children's organizations. We open up charities. We open up all these organizations are existing, but they are existing for particular purposes. Now you find that
we have churches, and churches are always a safe place to go to.
Yeah, but like I'm saying, I say all those organizations. When you look at them, the issues of the family, some of them don't really.
But you see, the church or the community can be a source of support or oppression. For example, the church is not going to tell you to leave your husband who has beaten you. They will try to stick it in there. Your parents were there. We need to protect the family and everything. And we've seen a lot of people die actually in the Asian communities because you are not allowed to leave. You can't even report the police because. That's why I'm saying that we need to look at the motives because sometimes the church can be supportive or can be just oppressive. So you're not going to go, for example, to the same pastor or the same community leader who was actually going to have a drink with your husband who beat you up or they were together and actually he's also beating his own wife. So if I have lost faith in that community, there is no I'm going to seek for justice from them. If something happens to me, the law here, thank God, the system here tells you where to go. So that is the thing. So what our community leaders need to know
so it goes back to education. We need to educate our community leaders. Educate them on how to handle these issues.
I'm a mediator. And mediation doesn't mean that you just become biased because you're prolonging, you are actually promoting the culture. Because what our community leaders do, they promote the culture from home. And we know that most of our cultures, our values or beliefs are very oppressive towards children and women. And so they want to bring that to the UK, and the UK empowers women. And that's why you find some men saying, the law here favors women. Why? Because the law is putting things right. That's what I feel. Yeah, the law puts things right in the UK.
The way you put it, it seems like, I mean, I believe culture,
yes.
religion,
yes.
Could play a massive role, especially in the diaspora,
yes.
in terms of putting people together,
yes.
and also making sure that the families remain together,
yes.
as long as they're in groups and so on.
Yes.
It's, as you said, as I say, it's a question of education.
Yeah.
The people you put in those positions are probably not qualified enough to be mediators.
Yeah.
Now, you are a qualified mediator,
yeah.
you're a social worker, you're a lawyer, you can work, but you find that others, especially within the Muslim faith, because I've been
doing very well.
Yeah? I've been there, and I've seen somebody who comes from nowhere is suddenly the mediator.
And they become models.
Yeah.
You know, our Muslim community is doing very well. The Ugandan Muslim community in the UK.
Yeah. I meant the larger one, the larger, bigger
yeah.
other Muslim communities, African Muslim communities. Okay,
Yeah.
the Ugandan one may be doing well.
They're doing very well, and this is how they do it. Say, for example, we have absent fathers. You know that. It is a big problem here. And because we have absent fathers, we have no role models for our children. And so what you do, even when there is an absent father...
Why are fathers absent?
They're being irresponsible. You know, how do you father children and you just go away? I mean, ask those men. They're being irresponsible, reckless, and they don't care, selfish, and you know, all those bad things you can call them. Because let me tell you, Steve.
Listen.
Even if,
they're kicked out of the homes.
Let me tell you, it is okay. Even if they kick you out. And like I said, in my role, I work with looked after children. We look after children who are already in care. They've been taken away from their families. Now, most of the time, mothers don't want the fathers to see these children.
Why?
And I'm telling you, I support contact with the fathers because I know the importance of having fathers when you're bringing up children. When children have, you know, they can talk to their fathers. It improves their self-esteem and confidence and all that. So for me, unless you're violent and in prison, I support contact, even if it is supervised. A child needs to see their father. But we got fathers who just don't care. They will go and just say the child will look for me when they turn 18. Now, those are the fathers that I call out and say, look, when you father your child, even if you fall out of love with their mothers, you can still have contact. You can and don't use children to continue abusing your partner. So if the woman says no, use the law. Again, here the law is very good when it comes to protecting men to access children. So you can go to social services, you can go to court for contact. So men in the UK who don't see their children is by choice. But also I know their mothers, when they fall out of love with the fathers of their children, they use children as a bait to punish the men.
I was going to say that. You
know, we've got women who even go as far as telling the children, your father is dead. Your father went somewhere and died there, so that the children don't ask anymore. Again, I said that is wrong. And for the men out there who are watching, you need to know that the law protects your right to see your children. You go to the court, you go to the social services, they will help you to have contact with your children. If you are committed, your children need you.
Okay.
You can see when I talk at the social worker, I become passionate.
I know. You got the passion, which is quite interesting, and I just wish all women were like you in terms of presenting that. Because one thing about it is that when you have that grudge behind you, when you've had that problem behind you, and you've never experienced it before, and suddenly a man leaves, or you ask him to go, and he goes, and he's also bitter because of the work he had put in that home and everything, and the list of his worries are the kids. You would say, hang on a minute, their mother kicked me out.
Which is very wrong.
Yeah, it's extremely wrong. It's extremely
wrong. Those children will never get another father. The mother will try to get a lover, they love bomb them, they tell them how they love these children, but let me tell you, they will never get another father. And when they grow up, you will never get back those memories of missing out on their journey as they grow up.
No, the kids...
And they get bullied. A lot of things happen to children who don't see their fathers. So I say that regardless of what has happened...
Should we say again, it comes down to education? Because if we don't have... There's a church, I think it is in Ilford, where there is a father and a father and mother session where I think the pastor sits down with all the parents and he talks to them in ways in which to raise their kids.
Yes.
It's a Nigerian church, and I was invited there one day to cover a story about one of the people I met there, and it was very interesting. I saw what the pastor was trying to do, because the knife crime in this country is too much. It's too much,
yes.
And of course there are other issues. So he sat down and he said, "Look, the best option we have is to sit down with them and to encourage them to come." He, in fact, even put up a figure so that the parents who turn up, they're paid for transport back home, maybe 10, 15 pounds or something like that. So he can address them directly. Even those that are in a proper marriage, which has no quarrels in it or anything in it. He tells them, say, listen, you also have to listen to this message because at some point, things might not go the way you are. So at least you're aware of that. And he even counsels, I think, parents. He was suggesting something, because when I interviewed him, he told me his suggestion would be, before you are 18, when you're 18 or from 20 or something, you need to sit down with the church and somebody tells you before you marry. He counsels young couples before they marry, because they're in love and so on. He says, look, you're going to find these problems. You're going to find this, you're going to find this, you're going to find, so that they are aware they're going into something when they are properly counseled about it. So they will know the loopholes and what to do afterwards. Now, he was saying that's the biggest mistake. People go into love, get married.
There's no more counseling.
There's no, everything.
There's no more counseling.
So I like what he was doing.
But
then at the same time, I also looked at, say, why as a man. And I'm saying, okay, a man is supposed to be aware of that, the law. And is meant to go to social services and go. But the kind of reception you're given as a man and the reception a woman is given are two different. Because I've been with a friend one day. We drove to a center. No. Let me finish this. We drove to a center. He had something similar. And we went there. He explained exactly what it is. And the woman wrote down details about what he had said and said, could you come back next week? And he says, no, I've got to see my kids this week. But this is what I've been informed. I can't do this, I can't do it. Why do I have to do it next week? But a woman will be told, when come in the next 24 hours, there will be a social worker taking you to see your kids. Or there will be this. But men are not given the same access and quick access as women. Issue of
primary carers. If you have evidence that you've been the primary care of your child, say for example, you took paternity leave, you were staying home, look after the children. For example, your wife works, maybe you work at night, your wife works in the day. You know, that is like real evidence that actually you've been like a primary caregiver of the child. It looks at the attachment that the children have with you as well. Like I said, for me, I'm not going to comment on one particular case because one, I wouldn't know the full facts of it.
You don't want to generalize.
I wouldn't know the full facts of it, but just to say, if you come to social services saying, I want to have contact with my children, the first thing we do is to risk assess. Now, you can't come and say, I want to see the children next week. We need to carry out what we call the risk assessment, which involves checking with the police and stuff like that based on whatever happened that led to your separation. Whereas mothers usually are part of the system when we are taking children away in care. So they would have already done the risk assessment on the mother. So like I said, it's difficult for me to comment on a one case, but I know that most of the time the reason why they're likely, I'm not saying that's the reason, they're likely to say that, oh, you will need next week because they need to do the risk assessment. Also, if the children are, for example, from maybe 5 and over, they need to ask them, do you want to see dad? There are children who have been beaten, who have been sexual abused. A lot of things have happened. You may not know what happens in the world of children in this country.
Do they ask the same thing to the women, that do you want to see your mother?
Like I said, the mother is the primary caregiver. Already was already on record. They went to court and the court already agreed they were going to be seeing the children. So usually the fathers come later when they learn the children have been taken away. You see, that's when the fathers come. So when because they would have missed out on going to court, they work with social services. And now the person you are seeing at the reception is not qualified to assess you. So that means they're going to pass on that message to whoever is available to be able to do the risk assessment. Then you are able to, then they arrange the contact for you. So you know, let me tell you, social services support contact of fathers, and I think that's a training that they give all of us as social workers. Of course, you'll find people are biased. In every profession, there is bias.
Of course.
You'll find a social worker who thinks you're a demon, you know, based on whatever happened. But you see, after we have gone through all that, and like I said, I have young people as young as 10 years who have said they don't want to see their father. Why? Because they were beating their mothers and stuff, and you know, children tend to be so protective when it comes to their mothers. So they start to think, and by this, so traumatizing. Even when they see them like they were hiding, when the father comes and all that. So you're not going to show up at the local authority and say, I want to see my son, and then we say tomorrow. No, we need to talk to the child. We prepare them. We actually encourage them and say, you're not going to be alone, somebody else is going to be there, and all that. And if the child freezes and say, they even start doing wee on bed. These are real things.
I know.
These are real things.
But the thing is to me it sounds generalizing with all the men.
I'm not
there are men out there
generalizing.
who are, men like me who are very good fathers. Who
and I
really
believe in you, exactly. And what I'm saying that most men are good people.
Yeah.
I'm married to a very good husband. You understand? And he knows I'm very proud of him. You understand? But what I'm saying...
You're a very lucky man. You're a very lucky man.
My husband is called Sam Obura.
I have to tell you that. You're a very lucky man. You got someone out here who is...
I'm so proud of him. You know? I'm here. What's the time? He's now looking after children.
Oh, good.
Very far away from home, you know. But I know I'm okay. I'm not in a panic. The children are sorted. You see, because my husband is home.
Can I look at challenges? I mean, men and women face different challenges, and obviously we have. Women are from Mars, men are from where? There are challenges that come in. But when you look at it, basically, challenges that are faced with the African women, especially here in the UK, and then, of course, back home we wouldn't, because the challenges, the areas are different. But over here, especially with the migrants and so on, and the Ugandans in the diaspora, Kenyans or whatever. What are the main challenges of women, and how do they overcome this?
So like you said, you know, you even started with migration. So of course, you know, like for example, if in the UK you're a woman, you know, the visa problems, you know, or whatever visa that you have may not give you access to a lot of support that you may need. So definitely you are likely to struggle. We know that most women are the ones who are in low-paid jobs which are not even secure. You know, they're cleaners and low wages. You find a woman working like 5 jobs almost. You know, they work 2 hours here, 4 hours there, because they can't get like one big job that can help them to make their, you know, to meet their needs. And also we have the issue of course, childcare.
Doesn't the government come in somewhere? Childcare, for example.
If your visa, for example, if you're here illegally.
How about other women's organizations? There are so many women organizations that look at migrants as well.
But there are not many organizations giving money to women here. I can tell you that as an immigration lawyer. I would have been sending all my clients to them. They're not there because there is no money. So what happens, of course, if, for example, you are here illegally, the first thing we tell you is that, why don't you want to go home? That's the first thing a lawyer is going to ask you. Do you want to apply for asylum? Do you want to make a new application? Why are you here? Like, you know the laws in the UK. If you are here illegally, you can't access support. So that means the organizations cannot be encouraging people to stay in the UK illegally. Organizations are going to say, we are going to buy you a ticket to go back home. Say, for example, if you have been trafficked in, you were brought in and maybe for sexual exploitation, you know, they're going to send you again to the Home Office, and there is protection, you know, for those people out there. If you have been trafficked, I know you heard about, you know, some cases in case you're being abused in a home and all that. You're not allowed to go somewhere. We know about those guys in the Middle East who are not allowed, you know, to have their passports. If you're in the UK and somebody has taken away your passport, who is in charge of you, you can report the police.
I mean, we had a Ugandan judge who was sent to prison because of human trafficking. That is one example.
I wouldn't want to dwell on it because that case is being appealed, so I'm not going to dwell on it, but that's an example. And that shows that the system works in this country. So another challenge, of course, say for example, most women who came here on spouse visas are going to be fearing to leave their partners because they think that I need this visa, so I have to just comply with all the abuse and everything.
With the law.
Yes.
Comply with
and
the law,
men become, even the women, by the way, we know so many women who bring husbands here and they torture them because they know they need papers, and they do a lot of things to abuse them. So even men who are out there on spouse visas and you are being subject to abuse. Abuse doesn't have to be physical. Like I said, somebody telling you go and eat your mother's something that makes you so sad. And you start getting nightmares and everything. You can go to the doctor, let the GP know, get help and all that. And when you build up all that evidence, you are able to make an application based on domestic violence.
What do you count as the biggest achievement you've done? Both all in immigration, all in the law, something that you're extremely proud about, and they say, look, this, I feel, I don't know, heaven and earth. It's just like somebody has scored a goal, for example, Manchester City player or somebody.
Manchester United.
Okay, Manchester United player. And you see how
we lost the other day, yes.
Well, don't worry about the game. You'll catch up. It was not just one game. It was again.
So for me, Stephen, I came here when I was just newly qualified, from Makerere University, and coming in here and getting on my master's and straight away getting a job with a work permit, and since then I haven't looked for a job. I've just
success in terms of when you stand out there and you say, listen, Joy Jakweta, and this is when I look at myself in a mirror tomorrow and I'm saying, wow, I've come so far. This is the biggest. I've got so many women out of prison. I've got so many achieved. I mean, there has to be something out there that you count as one of the biggest.
You're making me shy now.
No.
I don't know what exactly. Look, first of all, I practiced as an immigration lawyer for 16 years, and I represented so many people. There's a time when people say that, is she a mayor? Because so many people knew me in
do you know what community? I expected you to say? What I expected you to say was that, the best thing, my biggest achievement is my husband.
That is an achievement, by the way.
If he's looking out there,
I wanted to say,
you say that my husband is the biggest achievement, my children are the biggest achievement.
We celebrated. No, because you gave an example.
Just give, that's what I
when you gave an example, you distracted me because I was going to tell you it's my family.
You're not pushing everything to me. Come on.
If you ask me what are you proud of the most, I'm going to say my family.
But even that is an achievement.
That's what I'm telling you. It's having a family together. We did 20 years of marriage, in June. And for me, that's a big achievement. Finishing 1 year in marriage is not easy. But we've done 20 years
with the law and with the social workers and everything. Is there also something there where you could say, I managed to get 20 kids out of there, I managed to do this, I managed to do that? Is there something as well beyond that, which
I
people
can say
which you are proud of yourself?
My job, I won an award at Kingston University. And my photo is there with the name Olive Stevenson Award. I won that award. But above all, I've been headhunted by local authorities for my things because they know the passion I have for children.
You could be the best president for Uganda. If you're made president of Uganda, this is the very thing. What do you think you can work towards to make sure that Uganda is the safest country to live in?
I just want the laws about equality, equality laws, and looking after children. You stop all these early marriages and put the age, the minimum age, to say you must be 18 before you get married. And equality for all, access to welfare and things like legal aid, treatment and such stuff. That's what we want.
I just want to say thank you very, very much for coming here and telling us all about it. I know it's not easy in terms of achievements, in terms of things which are being done. It's quite a lot, but having gone through all the loopholes and then of course coming here and you've seen the loopholes and all that. When I say certain things, sometimes people feel, maybe you have generalized, but it's not generalization. It's just a question of watching and trying to be in the middle. As you are saying, you want certain things to be done. And men also want that, because that's one of our biggest worries, is that a male, we are being left behind, which is sometimes not fair.
Yes.
I just want to say thank you very much for viewing us, and I do hope we'll be together again for another edition of Africa Speaks. And thank you once again for coming on the show and telling us all about it.
Thank you.
May God bless you all.